Me and TurkiAlalshikh.
Turkish promoter Alek has been pushing hard to make a fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez happen, offering a staggering $95 million. For a moment, it seemed like the next big super fight in boxing was within reach. However, Crawford surprised many by turning down the offer.
Isn't Canelo next year? Are you done from the sport, Terence?
I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terence Crawford in my career.
Crawford's response was not what people expected from a fighter who is supposedly eager to build his legacy. This has caused division within the boxing community. Some believe it was a smart move, while others feel he passed up a massive opportunity.
Alvarez versus Terence "Bud" Crawford. What is your honest thoughts on that as an opportunity and a potential fight?
Oh, it's always is a chance there, right? We'll see, but always is a chance there, and we're here to make the best deals. And
despite Crawford's refusal, Alek isn't giving up. He continues to try and make the fight happen, even offering to negotiate directly with Canelo and presenting what he considers a fair price. But what does fair really mean when one fighter has everything to lose and the other stands to gain a huge payday and solidify their legacy? Canelo has made it clear that he values his fights, especially those that could affect his reputation. A fight with Crawford would bring in a large paycheck, but it wouldn't do much for Canelo's legacy. Beating Crawford wouldn't earn him the respect from fans who still question why he's not fighting top contenders like David Benavidez or others at 168 pounds.
For me, I don't need to take that fight because then everybody's gonna say this too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, you know, he needs.
Crawford's focus on Canelo makes sense in some ways. A fight with him would bring fame, money, and a place in history, an opportunity few fighters get. However, this singular focus has created a peculiar situation. Alek promised Crawford the chance to fight anyone he wanted, but Crawford seems uninterested in facing other top-tier names like Jermell Charlo, Jaron Boots Ennis, Sebastian Fundora, or even David Morrell, considering them less important opponents for someone of his stature.
A lot of people are saying, like, hey, you know, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, you know, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight, or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What he got to prove to Boot? Boot trying to take over and start beating the guys around him, prove that he's the best of that group. Bud is in a group above him. Bud don't need to come back down to 47 to meet him. That's crazy. Why would he? Bud look at.
But avoiding these other big fights may not be the smartest move for Crawford. Facing someone like Benavidez could help boost his reputation and provide a built-in excuse if he loses, citing Benavidez's size, youth, and power as the deciding factors. The same could be said for opponents like Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol. Even if Crawford were to lose, fighting such dangerous opponents would bring massive attention and show the world that he's willing to take on the best.
Realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you're still pursuing it?
Not at all. You know,
Yet, Crawford doesn't seem interested in fights that don't come with the reward of facing Canelo. His intense focus on this one fight has fans questioning his true intentions. Is he chasing greatness, or is he simply unwilling to risk his undefeated record against opponents who won't offer the same fame and fortune? Criticism of Crawford is growing as fighters like Benavidez and Morrell call for big fights, and fans are becoming more impatient.
He's weight class. 75 is his weight class, and you know, he do nothing in 175. Really? No, he's not a.
Meanwhile, Canelo has his own issues. Fans are eager for a fight between him and David Benavidez, a match that could earn Canelo the respect he deserves. However, even this fight has its complications. Reports suggest that Canelo is asking for an outrageous $200 million for the bout, making the $100 million offer from Crawford seem much more reasonable. If Canelo is demanding such a hefty payday, it's hard to see him agreeing to face Crawford for less, especially when the stakes aren't as high.
Johnny Boy Boxing, FightNight. I just want to ask you, what do you think about Terence Crawford? What do we think about Terence Crawford's performance, and do you want to get a fight with him?
If the money is right, I mean,
$100 million. I heard Turkey offer.
The situation has become even more complicated. Alek's efforts to secure a deal have added additional challenges. While his enthusiasm is commendable, it's becoming clear that he might be underestimating the difficulty of getting Canelo to agree. Offering a fair price sounds good, but Canelo's track record shows he doesn't settle for less than what he believes he's worth. At this stage of his career, Canelo has nothing left to prove. His legacy is already cemented, and his financial future is secure.
Doing that.
Where do things stand with Turkey? Turkey said he would like to open a line of communication with no middlemen, just you and him.
I never say no to business. So if it is a business for me, I'm open to talk.
For Crawford, the stakes are different. One wrong move could hurt his legacy, but a major victory could solidify his place among the all-time greats. That's why his refusal to fight anyone but Canelo is so puzzling. A fight with Benavidez or Bivol wouldn't just be a solid challenge, it might actually be a better option than facing Canelo. Losing to a bigger opponent like Benavidez would come with built-in excuses, and the publicity would still be massive. Fans would respect the courage it takes to face someone stronger, even if the outcome doesn't go in his favor.
He's a tough guy to deal with, and 12 rounds is a long time. But Crawford has a very deep bag of tricks. He's got great, very high boxing IQ. We always watch him early on. He's collecting data on his opponent. Madrimov was a tough nut to crack. It took him a lot of rounds to figure it out, but 9, 10, 11, 12, he started really pushing that pace, was able to get his...
Instead of exploring other options, Crawford remains focused on Canelo. His decision to reject Alex's $100 million offer sends mixed signals. On one hand, it shows Crawford isn't desperate for the fight, but on the other, it raises doubts about whether he's truly willing to take on the toughest challenges. For Alec, the future remains uncertain. He's made it clear he's willing to do whatever it takes to make the fight happen, but his optimism might not be enough. The reality is that Canelo holds all the cards, and he knows it. If Alec wants to get this fight done, he'll need to offer more than just a big payday. Meanwhile, Crawford's options are narrowing. The longer he waits, the more the boxing world moves on.
You know, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. You know, he's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just like to,
Fighters like Benavidez, Morrell, and even Bivol are gaining more attention, and with every missed opportunity, Crawford risks losing relevance. He might not see these fights as appealing right now, but in the grand scheme of things, they could be the steps he needs to build the legacy he desires. Despite this, Crawford chose to fight Moff, a matchup that didn't help him prove to Canelo that he's a worthy opponent. Although Crawford won with a unanimous decision, Canelo suggested Moff deserved a better outcome, stating, "I think he knows why there are weight classes. He had a good fight, but for me, I think he lost, or it could have been a draw."
All the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do.
Canelo isn't just a bystander watching Crawford's career unfold. He's the one many expect Crawford to face if he moves up to super middleweight. For Canelo to criticize Crawford's performance in his first fight at a higher weight hurts the momentum Crawford hoped to build for a potential fight. From Crawford's perspective, his debut at a higher weight was meant to make a statement. Moff, with only 11 professional fights, might not have had the most impressive resume, but his amateur background and unique style made him a legitimate challenge. Crawford showed flashes of brilliance, but Moff also found success, making the fight competitive.
It's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo.
Promoter Eddie Hearn didn't hold back in expressing his frustration over the outcome, arguing that Moff was judged unfairly. Crawford didn't do enough to win the belt, Hearn said, echoing what some in the boxing world are thinking. This criticism, combined with Canelo's negative comments, creates a larger issue. Why would Canelo want to fight Crawford now? Canelo's position is different. He's not just a champion, he's the unified super middleweight king, and every move he makes is scrutinized. If he were to fight Crawford after such a mediocre debut at a higher weight, he would be criticized for picking an easy fight with a smaller, weaker opponent, especially if Crawford struggles in the ring.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options?
For Canelo, the reward doesn't seem to justify the risk. Even if he wins as expected, the narrative could easily turn against him. Instead of celebrating another major victory, people might accuse him of cherry-picking a smaller fighter who struggled when moving up in weight. Crawford's unanimous decision over Mayoff earned him another belt, making him a 4-division world champion, but it also raised doubts about his ability to handle the size, power, and skill of fighters in higher weight classes. These doubts make a fight with Canelo less appealing to Alvarez, who wants to solidify his legacy by fighting worthy opponents. Now, a fight with Crawford feels more like a risky gamble than a major career moment.
James, you got somebody ask Turki Alalshikh, is this happening? Look at his response about Crawford facing Canelo. Look at his response.
Canelo's fight against Edgar Bunga highlighted the clear difference in stakes. Bunga, while not a big name, is a natural super middleweight with knockout power and youth on his side. Beating Bunga reinforced Canelo's dominance in the division and helped preserve his legacy. On the other hand, a fight with Crawford doesn't offer the same level of validation. Crawford's situation becomes even more complicated when viewed in this light. Mayoff was supposed to be a stepping stone, a way for Crawford to prove he could compete at higher weights and build hype for a potential Canelo fight. Instead, his performance gave critics more reasons to doubt him and made Canelo more skeptical about facing him.
Just from your expert opinion, knowing how Canelo fights, what he's like in the ring, I know you haven't been in the ring with Terence, but what do you think of that fight?
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody. And
in boxing, perception is everything. Crawford's victory over Mayoff may look solid on paper, but reactions from Eddie Hearn and Canelo tell a different story. They highlight that while Crawford's performance was good enough to win a belt, it didn't erase doubts about his ability in higher weight classes. Canelo, being smart and calculated, seems to be playing the long game. By questioning Crawford's performance, he's not just criticizing, he's shaping the narrative. If a fight between them happens, Canelo wants it to be on his terms, financially, competitively, and in terms of legacy. Until then, Crawford's future path will require more than just one good win.
In my weight class, it's an easy fight for me. Easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in, because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So if the money is right, I'm in.
Right now, the gap between Crawford and Canelo seems wider than ever. Canelo, comfortable as a pound-for-pound great, doesn't need Crawford to secure his legacy. But Crawford, on the other hand, might need Canelo to elevate his own. To truly build his legacy, Crawford needs to convince not only the fans but also Canelo himself that he's a worthy opponent. After his performance against Mayoff, that task is much harder than anyone expected. It seems like the fight will remain a conversation rather than a reality, as the obstacles are far more complex than just agreeing on a big paycheck.
Nonsense. Tell him we going for Canelo next. Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on. You heard it from him. We are ready.
Canelo Alvarez, as the biggest name in boxing, already holds unmatched financial power in the sport. His reported demand of $200 million to fight David Benavidez is seen more as a strategy to avoid the fight than a serious request, essentially a way to sidestep the matchup without outright turning it down. For someone like Canelo, every move is calculated. Agreeing to fight Crawford, a smaller fighter who has yet to prove himself at super middleweight, involves risks beyond just the physical ones. Eddie Hearn shared his thoughts on why the fight faces so many challenges. Speaking to Fight Hype, Hearn admitted, "I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. It doesn't seem like something Canelo really wants to do."
With all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot, about the size and he won't get no credit and all this type of things, but Canelo been fighting smaller guys his whole career.
Hearn revealed that he spoke directly with Canelo about the potential fight, and Canelo gave a clear response. His hesitation stems from the narrative that would follow a win over Crawford. I think his feeling is that when he beats Crawford, people will say he beat a 154-pound fighter, Hearn explained. This hits at the core of the issue for Canelo. The fight with Crawford is a lose-lose situation. If he wins, critics will call it an easy victory over a smaller opponent. If he loses, the backlash would be even worse. People would wonder how a generational talent like Canelo could lose to someone jumping up 2 weight classes. The size difference isn't just a talking point, it's central to the entire discussion. For all his talent, Crawford has yet to prove himself at 168. Demetrius Andrade, another respected figure in boxing, offered a blunt assessment of Crawford's chances at 168 pounds. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Andrade said, "Canelo is a fierce wolf, and he can run all night. I think Crawford has the skills, but when it comes to Canelo taking punches and blocking power punches, Canelo also knows how to move. He's not like a robot." Andrade's analysis points to the uphill battle Crawford would face in a fight with Canelo. Canelo's ability to take punches, control the pace, and adapt in the ring would likely nullify Crawford's technical advantages.
A man coming from 147, I know he's a great man. Crawford is a great man and a great warrior. But you come from 147 to put on...
While Andrade acknowledged Crawford's undeniable skills, he expressed doubts about the outcome. "I don't think Crawford can beat Canelo, but I still think he can give him a good fight. I'll be watching," Andrade added. The idea that Crawford might be out of his depth isn't just Andrade's opinion, it's widely shared in boxing circles. Even though Crawford is considering moving up 2 weight classes, many question the practicality of such a jump. Fighters like Canelo, who have been at super middleweight for years, are accustomed to the size, strength, and endurance required at that level. For Crawford, who built his legacy at 135, 140, and 147 pounds, making the adjustment would be monumental. Canelo's reluctance to fight Crawford also ties into his current path. The Mexican star has often said he wants to fight the best opponents while maintaining his position as boxing's top draw. For Canelo, the fight with Crawford holds less risk of damaging his reputation compared to other potential matchups. On the other hand, Crawford's options are shrinking. A fight with Canelo represents the peak of what Crawford could achieve both financially and historically, but the road to that fight is blocked by factors outside his control. Even with significant financial backing, it may not be enough to sway Canelo if the fight doesn't align with his legacy. Interview 23. The size disadvantage is one of the biggest challenges. It's not just about the numbers on the scale, it's about how those numbers play out in the ring at 168 pounds. Canelo's punches carry more power than Crawford has ever faced. The idea that Crawford could overcome this disadvantage purely with skill is appealing but unrealistic, according to many experts. Canelo's calculated approach to his career ensures that every fight he takes adds to his legacy. A win over Crawford, while financially rewarding, doesn't offer the same level of validation as wins over natural super middleweights or light heavyweights for Canelo. Crawford's chances against Canelo stem from his undeniable skill, ring IQ, and ability to adjust during a fight. Crawford's versatility, switching between orthodox and southpaw stances, has confused opponents at every weight class he's fought in. His timing, precision, and ability to exploit weaknesses could give even someone like Canelo trouble. Crawford's footwork and defensive instincts might help him avoid Canelo's powerful combinations and open up counterpunching opportunities. However, the major challenge lies in moving up to 168 pounds. Crawford has dominated at 147, but the physicality of super middleweight is a different challenge altogether. Fighters at this weight are naturally stronger and hit harder. As the chance for this fight fades, Crawford's path forward becomes more difficult. To truly be seen as a threat to Canelo, Crawford needs to prove himself against top-tier opponents at 168 pounds, a huge challenge given the current situation. Until then, the conversation about a Crawford-Canelo showdown will likely remain just that, talk. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.